Thank you very much. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to our lovely house band. New Trucks on the Block. Give them a big round of applause. Most of the time we're meant to be rehearsing, but actually most of the time is spent coming up with different band names. So that's the best one we've come up with yet. If you can think of a better truck-related band name for our band, you can win a prize. We've got some lovely transformed mugs, I think. In fact, we've got a lot of transformed mugs. We've got a whole crate of them, so we may actually pay you to get rid of them a little bit later on. It's lovely to see you at the IAA here in Hanover. Are you having a lovely time? Good. Yes, thank you. Welcome to everybody who's here. Welcome to the lovely people at home or internet world, wherever you may be. It's lovely to be here. Thank you, of course, to our great friends at Mercedes-Benz Trucks. We are here all week, and we're going to be looking into the future, delving around, having a bit of a rummage to see what's going to come up next, as it were. And of course, we're seeing the future of transportation right here at the IAA. We're also very lucky to be joined on stage by the very wonderful Vicky Butler-Henderson. Round of applause for Vicky. You will all know Vicky because she's one of the great racing drivers, maybe the world's greatest automotive, I can't even say that word, how do I say it? Automotive journalists.
Well, that's how I love it. Maybe if I stay here long enough, I could be like the universe's greatest. Maybe. I don't know.
I like that. But you've been promoted to barmaids.
Yeah, exactly.
Today.
I'm a pretty useless barmaid, but
you?
I could put in something of everything and make a special cocktail.
Nice. So if you're lucky, you might get invited up for a little drink. So that's good. Hey, listen, you've been on a bit of an IAA safari today. You've been wandering about, meeting people, looking at new tech, having a look at what the future of trucking is all about. Are you excited about it?
Very much so. And I've given a couple of snips of reports back, which we will be able to see throughout the show later on.
Fantastic. So we're going to see that in a moment. I've got to say, I'm very relieved to be here today. One of the things about the relentless pace of change of technology is just how fast everything goes. And nowadays, we hear a lot about large language models like ChatGPT. We're going to be talking a lot about things like AI, of course, robotics. The idea of a human being standing live on stage seems almost dated. This might be the last time you ever have a live host on stage. I get that feeling we're going to be replaced pretty soon, I think. But that's the thing about technology. When new technology comes along, it's kind of greeted both ways with opportunity and excitement, but also fear and intrepidation. And that's always a little bit of a worry. So we're going to have a look at some of the, not just what's coming up in the future, but the way that human beings, the way that businesses, the way that companies think about it as well. One of my favorite writers, you know Douglas Adams, who wrote The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, of course. He's got 3 rules of technology, which I always think are really lovely and rather interesting. And I'm paraphrasing, so forgive me. He always says, number 1, the technology that you are born into when you're born is kind of normal and standard, and that's the way the things are. And then any technology that comes along between the ages of, say, 15 and 35, it's exciting, it's new, and it's whizzy, and good things are going to happen. And then everything that comes along after the age of 35 is against the natural order of things and will be the ruination of everything. We have very, very strange perceptions of technology. And we're going to talk a little bit about them with our special guest today. So why don't we get on with the show? Let's do it. Now then, Vicky, we've got special guests. We're going to have special guests all week. We've got fun and games aplenty coming up too, so that's exciting. But who have we got lined up for today's show?
Yeah, well, strap yourselves in because we are up for some fun. So our special guest today is a man who goes by the name of David Rowan. David, he is a technology journalist. He was also the founding editor-in-chief of Wired UK magazine, and he's also an active tech investor, and we have a few slides to illustrate a little bit more about him. The first one, he has written a book. It's called 17 Proven Ways to Transform How You Work. Then there's also a lovely photo of him at the Jerusalem International Book Forum just a couple of years ago. And then finally, a snapshot of him with an interview with Mehdi Gesassi, who is of Google DeepMind, and this was them in Dubai. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a very big, warm round of applause for David Rowan.
Lovely. Thank you very much. David, you're always immaculately dressed. Just looking at those slides there, you're always immaculate. You always look terrifically well turned out, I know.
Because we're competing with the AI.
Is that what it is?
We have to dress smarter than the deepfake.
That's nice. We have to bring something to the table. Now, listen, ladies and gents, before we chat to David properly, we've got a little quick fire round, a little icebreaker round, if you like, just so we can get the measure of the man. So I'm going to ask you some quick fire questions. Without thinking too hard, just give me some answers. Ready?
Ready.
Okay. Print or digital?
Print, because somebody's curated it and it has an end.
First mover or fast follower?
Fast follower, because you don't want to be the guy with the Google glasses just because everybody said it was cool.
Yeah, looking a bit weird. Favorite tech gadget of all time? That's hard.
It's going to be the first one when you're at that formative time that you were using, so probably the Atari Space Invaders game.
I would concur with that. AI art or old masters?
Oh, wow. So there's nothing like the feeling of being there with the Rembrandt.
Yeah.
But AI democratizes the ability to create art. We're all artists with AI.
Not all of us.
But I'd rather
Most
have the
of us.
Rembrandt.
You'd rather have what?
The Rembrandt.
The Rembrandt, okay. And now you've got to complete the sentence. Change is...
Opportunity if you are not frozen by fear.
That's very good. That's very good, actually. I was not entirely sure what you were going to say, but I think that's terrific. Listen, I've got so many questions to ask you, and we've only got 8 minutes, okay? But I want to start just very quickly with your book, because it says bullshit-free or no bullshit innovation is the main title, which kind of implies there is a lot of BS in innovation. So before we get onto the good stuff, I'm just curious as to what you think where the BS is or what it was.
So I kept meeting corporate heads of innovation.
Yeah.
Or if they were really innovative, they'd have a crazy name like the Digital Sherpa or the Chief Disruptive Growth Officer. And I always want to know how they're changing their big...
That's a good name for a band, actually. You guys you could steal that.
How are they changing their fertilizer company, their food and drink company?
Yeah.
And nothing ever changed if you made it one person's job. And I wanted to see successful incumbent companies that were doing really amazing things. The bank in Finland that realized hospitals needed reinventing, so the bank performed surgery, or the conglomerate in Peru that realized people weren't entering that middle class, so it built a school system. And I didn't want to be cynical. I wanted to find really kind of inspiring examples of proper transformation using tech.
That's interesting, because you're from the UK, and I remember growing up in the UK, well, gosh, back in the 1980s or early 90s, we used to have, do you remember this? We used to have a catalogue, and it was called the Innovation Catalogue, and it was full of pictures of this is long before the kind of digital revolution, and it had gadgets like exercise your jaw with a thing that you clamped on with weights. Did you have anything like this in Germany? I don't know. I mean, obviously, you've used one of those. You look very handsome.
The guy who made
do you know what I'm talking about?
The guy who made that catalogue, you got it free in your Sunday newspaper. And it was always stuff you regretted buying, but it was fun at the time. He became one of the best venture capitalists in the UK. His name's Robin Klein. And he's made such great tech investments.
I used to pore over it. I used to love it as a kid. Anyway, let's get on to the good stuff. What everyone wants to know, what I want to know, and being here in this wonderful tech event where we're seeing the future laid out, is really what do you think are the most exciting tech trends that you're currently observing? Because you're right on the leading edge of
it. So I spend a lot of my time with the founders trying to build space solar power farms or nuclear fusion. And the great thing about founders trying to build something that's almost impossible is they're just driven. They're in love with the problem. and they just keep going. And it gives you a sense of possibility and optimism.
Yeah.
And we're going through a period now where we've got some fundamental challenges. We've got the rise of AI and robotics, and we're all a bit uncertain about where that goes.
Yeah.
We've got climate change and a kind of urgent need to take carbon out of the system. And then we've got, monopoly tech companies controlling more and more of our lives, and we don't quite know how to deal with that. There are amazing solutions to all of these. The open source movement, nuclear fusion companies that think they can solve the energy problem, ways to create AIs that don't just take our jobs away, but actually boost productivity so everybody can benefit.
That idea of taking their jobs away and fear, whenever there's a big tech revolution, we can go all the way back to the agricultural revolution, the industrial revolution, it always comes with this apprehension, this fear that people are going to lose jobs or it's going to take over. Somehow it will be dehumanizing. And it kind of never is. Human beings we seem to be very resilient, as well as perhaps being a little reticent sometimes. We adapt very quickly to this kind of stuff. Do you see where we're going in terms of things like AI as a parallel to the big revolutions in technology of the past?
So I collect graphs showing exponential curves, the doubling and doubling curves. And my favorite ever is by a team in Oxford called Our World in Data. And they've gone from the year 0 to today.
That's best
per capita earnings.
Yeah.
And it goes like a flat line near 0. Everybody in the world is earning nothing. To like the 19th century, and it goes up into this century. And that's because of technology. So long term, I'm an optimist. It's going to boost the wealth of generations. It's going to empower us to have personalized medicine. It's going to make things better. But there's going to be a transition, and that's going to get a bit full of friction. And there are going to be new and better jobs, but who's going to train people for these new jobs in the short term?
I think that's really interesting, because we've always worried about people losing jobs. But when it was the Gutenberg printing press that was invented in the 1400s, it was just kind of scribes who had to worry about losing jobs. Monks doing nice annotated Bibles who are going to lose their jobs. Now, AI is so taking over everything. It's not just AI on its own, it's AI in everything else. So everybody is going to see this revolution in ways that they haven't before, even the Industrial Revolution.
I think what we're not prepared for is how quickly it's going to come for lots of different sectors. Anything where you can take cognitive abilities and use the machine to provide them, you're going to have to get rid of expectations of what today's job is.
Racing driver, you guys are going to be okay. We're always going to need racing drivers.
But, of course, you've got autonomous vehicles, which could potentially put me out of a job, but I'm ready to embrace it, and because I know that a machine can't go around a corner as well as I can.
No.
Yet.
Yes.
But it forces us to invest in the human skills that the machine doesn't have, and probably won't have. So the instinct, if you are in medicine, the AI is going to do all the diagnostics. It's going to read the scans. But you still need that human expert with the bedside manner who's going to advise people what to do.
Well, that's it. You mentioned Rembrandt earlier on. I mean, an AI bit of art can look photorealistic. It could be amazing. But we like to see the brushstrokes. We like to see the thumbprints in the clay, maybe.
For Dallas, the human brain isn't about data, it's about story.
Yeah.
And Rembrandt is a story.
Yeah.
It's a character who had this hard life. He lost his son, he lost his wife, he struggled, but he left these artifacts that we can be close to. Now, the AI is not going to have the same story.
Let me just ask you, because we're short of time. Here we are talking about transportation. This is another one of these big sectors that's changing unbelievably quickly. We're seeing these great revolutions in transportation here today. What do you think about transportation generally? Where do you see the future going? Obviously, we've got electric trucks here, we've got hydrogen trucks. Just briefly, with your crystal ball out, highly polished crystal ball, what do you see?
I don't use crystal balls because I'm a journalist. I look at data.
You should do. You could
straight lines.
Wandering around with a crystal ball and kind of like whipping it out.
What I think is what's exciting about this industry is they're preparing for a difficult transition, and you're seeing these beautiful, shiny, electric-powered trucks that wouldn't have been talked about 8 years ago, 9 years ago. And once you add autonomy, you're going to make the roads safer.
Safer.
You've got trucks here that can go, 500 kilometers on a charge. That's extraordinary.
It is extraordinary.
This is like human progress using technology to solve problems.
Well, the good news is that Vicky has been out and been spending the day wandering around the floor here at the IAA here in Hanover. And she's been meeting some of the people who are building these trucks. She's been talking to some of the people involved in this transformation. Vicky, you made a little video, I think. Shall we have a look?
Oh, do let's. Hello from Mercedes-Benz Trucks. I am standing in front of this gigantic wooden tower and I am going to show you what you can discover inside. We are going to go on a journey into the future of e-mobility and digital services with a VR experience. Let's enter Truckopolis.
Hi. You want to try the VR glasses?
Yes, please. That would be lovely.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
You can come with her. To the upstairs.
Super. Thank you. That is amazing. The entire ecosystem for Mercedes-Benz Trucks is in here. From your first steps with advice to purchase and operation and then to everyday use. That is amazing. What did you think of your VR experience?
I loved it. I think it was very futuristic.
You have the feeling of moving around, traveling around the city. Really nice.
Felt so real, virtual reality, but felt really real.
Especially when the vehicle stopped, I also moved on my chair.
What other technological innovations do you know of that are established already in the market?
For instance, I know that there is a fleet control through GPS system.
And do you think these technologies will be mainstream soon?
I hope so. I don't think very soon, but definitely the direction is that.
This assistant driving is anyway existing, maybe to a certain degrees, but it's already established and available in the trucks nowadays.
Truckopolis has made it clear that we are in a technological evolution, and there is no doubt that e-mobility will shape the future, and multiple services can support that. You can see for yourself with Truckopolis on the Mercedes-Benz Trucks website. Enjoy.
Thank you very much, Vicky. That was good.
It was so much fun.
I'm really happy that VR is coming of age and it's actually getting good, because I remember in the mid-90s you had those giant helmets, and I remember being really excited about them and they were rubbish. Do you remember those? You're too young. You're too young to remember the mid-90s. Now, the other thing that David does is he works with young startup companies. You advise, you invest. You're in there at the beginning.
I'm used to pain because many of them don't make it.
This leads me on to my next question. It all starts with a good idea, okay? And a good idea always starts with the pitch, the famous elevator pitch. So what we thought we'd do is we thought we'd have a little competition, a little pitching competition. We've got a couple of, actually, Vicky, you explain what we have to do. You're the games master.
Well, the games mistress, please, if you will. So could I ask you to get to the front of the stage?
We're going to stand up here.
Elevator pitch game. So, David and Dallas, you must deliver improvised pitches for fictional startups based on PowerPoint slides that we're going to go through. So you just need to describe what you see and pitch it to all of us. You will be given a variety of photos. Dallas will pitch first, then David, then we'll have a pause, and then we'll do the same thing again, and right at the end we'll ask the audience to vote for whoever they think is the better pitcher.
Do we win a prize?
No prize.
Oh, okay.
Zero. Are you ready?
No, wait, so it's just, we don't know what the pictures are, so we're going to do, okay. And how do I just press next?
I think so, the green one.
Okay, ready, let's go. Do I have to press it again? Okay, here we go. The problem, are you starting your day without motivation? The problem with sleep, it takes up a lot of time. Like 1/3 of your time is spent being asleep. In my case, more like 2/3 of your life. That is time that is wasted, okay? So what we've come up with is the Whisper Rest Pillow. So all that dead time where you're just in kind of suspended animation can be better utilized by having motivational messages pumped into your brain so you wake up refreshed and ready to take on the day. And that is the result. No more sluggish mornings, no more pulling yourself out of bed, no more worried about going to work. You'll be filled with good ideas, filled with vim and vigor. And that's it. Here's some of my data analysis that I've done. Just watching YouTube videos, yeah, you watch them, but you actually get less and less motivated. But actually, when it's in your subconscious, look at the production of, what was it called? The Whisper Pillow Motivational thing.
Holds the applause, please. We're only a quarter of the way through.
Is that how it works? The game?
Well, that is very good.
Okay.
Indeed, it says good job.
He wants me to invest in that?
Well, we'll have a chat about that.
I actually think
David.
has someone thought it? Because I actually sleep with headphones on sometimes.
It's a good idea.
Do you do that?
Let's see if David can do a better one.
Really
David, over to you for your elevator pitch.
So I have 1 minute to pitch based on pictures I've never seen.
Absolutely. You've got it.
Okay.
Good luck.
And we're going. Do you ever wish your selfies could be smellies, could smell as good as they look? Because digital photos are a bit last year. Well, welcome to my new AI-enabled, blockchain-connected camera called Aroma Snap, which captures your body odor as you're sweating to get the best angle of that villa in Santorini. You can have feet that smell like cheese, but we will capture that aroma, so those socks will always be part of the memory of that vacation. You can have AI-generated pictures of girls lying in fields that will have their own AI smell, presumably from all the AI servers.
And David, that is it. You are out of time.
Is that it? I haven't asked for the money yet.
So this is where we throw to the audience and find out who has done the best pitch. So, round of applause first of all for Dallas. Who thinks Dallas has done well?
I didn't really understand the game. I struggled.
Who thinks David did the best pitch?
Oh.
Okay, I'm raising 5 million on a 50 million valuation.
Whatever. You can sit down now. David Smuggo. It's good, actually, you mentioned this word earlier on, pitching, obviously very important. Having a good idea is one thing, being able to sell a good idea.
Do you know what, Dallas? It's never about the idea. I've seen thousands of founders pitching and invested in quite a lot of them. And the lesson I've learned painfully, it's not the idea, it's how weird are the talent and how obsessed are they with the problem that's going to make them solve a problem, whatever the cost.
That is really interesting. As you all know, and Vicky will know this, David Mamet, the great American dramatist, he said, it always stuck with my mind, he said, all drama is just the quest for a solution. And that's all story is. And you mentioned story being really, really important when we do what you do. And it's absolutely right. Story, it's that the human brain needs to solve a problem. We're obsessed by change. We like to see change. We recognize change. And that's what propels us into that pleasure of story. And I suppose coming up with a good idea is that, really. It's story.
There's a famous myth writer, Joseph Campbell, who came up with what he calls the hero's journey.
The hero with 1,000
which is
faces.
The plot of every successful novel or movie, Harry Potter, Star Wars. In the old world, something's wrong, but the hero doesn't have the courage to make a better world. But then a mentor comes and tells them to go on a journey, to find the dragon, to kill the dragon, to come back with the treasure as a better person. And every good business, if you think about it, is telling you a story. They're the mentor, you're the customer, you're the hero. and they tell you what the dragon is. They tell you what the better life is.
In this situation, are you the mentor? Like, I'm just trying to work out who the hero.
I can be the dragon.
You can be.
I'll be the dragon.
But you have to define what the better world is. So
I think Phil is the shapeshifter. I seem to remember Joseph Campbell talking about the shapeshifter as the. But it's a good thing. Yeah, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. I want to talk, just while we're on the subject of businesses and stories, I want to talk about the importance of innovation within businesses and reticence versus embracing change. Where do you see, in your experience as businesses, where do sort of companies lie with that? Do you see more embracing or more reticence?
There is a famous construct, the innovator's dilemma. Clay Christensen wrote books about this, which is if you're doing well, you get comfortable, you're making money quarter by quarter in the old way, but then technology comes and changes the parameters. It's really painful to shift, and then there's always a new company that comes along.
Yeah.
Very rarely do leaders say, okay, we're going to go in a completely new direction and take the pain, especially if they have shareholders.
Yeah.
And businesses that innovate really effectively do it because they have a culture in which it's not the people at the top deciding where the future is going.
The other thing that you do is you're an investor. So you go and you look at these companies and you look at the lay of the land, if you like, and then you invest. With hindsight, which is a wonderful thing, it would be wonderful to know what the next big thing is. So we've come up with like a top 10 of next big things. Top 10 signs that you are too late to invest in the next big thing. So have a look at these and see what you think. Right. Number 10, your friends' kids are already making TikToks about how rich their parents got. That's number 10. Number 9, the startup's founder has just bought an island and named it after themselves. Number 8, you overhear your barista giving investment advice based on it. Number 7, the inventor is now a motivational speaker for missed opportunities. Number 6, it's featured in a news article titled 10 Investments You Should Have Made Last Year. Number 5, the CEO is now on the cover of Time magazine. Number 4, the app is now pre-installed on every new smartphone. Number 3, the tech blogs are selling I Missed the Boat t-shirts as a gag. Number 2, this is my favorite, The Simpsons did an episode on it 5 years ago. And number 1, David Rowan is on stage talking about how everyone has already got crashed out last year. There we go.
Boom.
Good? You think?
You have some very good script writers.
Thank you very much.
Your writer's room must be very investable.
We spend a lot of money on script writers for this show. Ladies and gentlemen, David Rowan, give him a round of applause. David, a pleasure. Thank you very much indeed. We are going to be back tomorrow. We've got more special guests. We've got more lunatic games.
We have indeed, and our special guest is fellow racing driver Jutta Kleinschmidt, who was the first woman to win the Dakar Rally.
There you go. That's coming up tomorrow. We'll see you then. Goodbye. Have fun.
Mercedes-Benz. Trucks you can trust.